like to welcome you all to our Lunch Club Travel Edition, where every Friday at 12 o'clock we'll be taking a trip to trip to a country, and in June we'll be taking a trip throughout Africa again. Lou, look forward to our session and our trivia at the end, and the floor is yours. Thanks so much for coming on and presenting as always.
All right. Well, thank you all. Hey, Ron, I love that background. Looks like there's three of you there. That's cool. Yes, so great to be on the call with everybody, and couldn't be happier. Looks like we got 21 folks on. That's great news. So let's start off where we always start off, and let me just cue that up. Just one moment. All right, and let's start off at the Department of Aging and Community Living downtown. So we are going to South Africa today. South Africa, I think we all know, is at the very southern tip of Africa. That's why they call it South Africa. And so to get there, we're going to go over to Union Station. We know where that is because all the railroad tracks are ending there. And then we're going to take the silver line. So I think you got to transfer somewhere. Take the red line to Union Station. Go over to Dulles Airport. Easy to find on the map because it's so big. And then we're going to take off. So what direction do we head, folks, to go to South Africa? Yeah, so we're going to head east.
South. Oh.
Yeah, southeast. Good one, southeast. So I was there a couple of times when I was working at World Vision, and it's sort of interesting. A lot of times when you go to Africa, you go north because of the shape of the earth. You know, it's not as tall as it is fat. So a lot of times you go north to go south. But when you go to South Africa, I've always gone mainly east. So usually the plane would stop in Dakar, which is off the coast of Senegal. So we've been to Senegal before. So we stop in the city of Dakar. See that right there? And you see the statue of the guy. It's actually a very short flight. It's like going to LA to go to Dakar. It's really close. And then you jump on another plane. South African Airlines is the most popular one. And then you have that's another long flight to South Africa. And when I've always gone to Johannesburg, which is not the big tourist spot, but it is the biggest city in South Africa. So there's Johannesburg. So there's a number of pretty famous places in South Africa. Any of these places ring a bell, anybody? Like
Lesotho.
Lesotho, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a freestanding country, all within South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about Africa. I would like to go there though.
Yeah, a lot to see. You'll see all that. Cape Town, this is the most famous place right here.
Yeah, Cape Town.
Never been there. I heard it's beautiful. So let's get the show on the road. So let's start off where we always start, and that's with a little bit about the history. So let me stop sharing for a moment while I queue up the history slides. So give me just a moment, and we'll get that started. Everybody have a good Juneteenth this week? Any festivities anybody take part in, or we enjoyed the day off at WildTech?
Well, I had a cookout at my house. My children bought me a grill and plenty of food, and we had a tent, and we went outside, listened to music. The kids had a slip and slide. We had a great day.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That was fantastic, Brenda. I know you enjoyed that.
Yes, had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to play this now. I'm going to play the video here. It's playing in a media player. I usually play in the other player, but I'm using a different computer today. So hopefully I won't have any problems. Let's give it a shot. We know this guy already, right? So can everybody see? Here we go.
Here we go, Lou.
Okay. Here we go. Sorry.
Welcome to This is Africa, and here in the south is South Africa. Now let's dash through its story, shall we? The many millennia of human residence in scenic, sweeping southern Africa began with ancient peoples sheltering themselves in caves such as this, which doesn't really look very comfortable, does it? But sleeping on rock is a bit better than being breakfast for wild animals, and so it isn't surprising that hunting was the main occupation of the first known inhabitants, the San. These hunter-gatherers had no collective name for themselves, and San was the title given to them somewhat snobbishly by the next arrivals, the Khoikhoi, nomadic keepers of livestock. They called the hunters San because that meant people without cattle. Both groups were compelled to move over for the next arrivals, however, which were tribes speaking Bantu languages from West Central Africa, metal workers, who over a long period of time expanded throughout and conquered much of the continent. In South Africa, they would develop into peoples such as the Xhosa and the Zulu. Kingdoms were formed, but information is scarce as there were no systems of writing to make records. In the year 1488, the Portuguese sailed across the Cape of Good Hope in search of establishing trade with the East. As the British and Dutch began to rise in naval power in the 1600s, the Cape of Good Hope proved an ideal rest stop on the long voyage to Asia, and in 1652, the Dutch navigator Jan van Riebeck founded a settlement there that would come to be known as Cape Town, probably because it was a town on the Cape. Dutch settlers, along with their slaves, set up a thriving agricultural colony, elbowing the Khoikhoi away for better terrain. The mixed descendants of Asian slaves with Africans or Europeans produced the Cape-coloured ethnic group. As for the Dutch farmers, they became known as Boeren, which is Dutch for farmers. We say Boers in English, but I don't want to bore you with any more linguistic stuff. Basically, many Boers became upset with the way the Dutch East India Company was running the Cape Colony, i.e. caring more for making money than caring for the people making it for them. So Boers began venturing further out into the country to make their own way and not be bound by rankling regulations. The Boers who entered the Eastern Cape region came into conflict with the Xhosa. Then the British came to town. Why? Well, mainly to protect their seafaring route to India. They were prompted towards this course of action after France occupied the Netherlands in 1795. Concerned that France might mess with their maritime monetary matters, Britain began sticking its beak into the Cape Colony and pecking about, and after pecking some more, decided to just take over, which it did officially in 1814. The English language spread, British settlers began arriving, sheep farming expanded, and so did the desire for more land. Like the Dutch before them, the British began fighting the Xhosa, and the turbulence only escalated in what's known as the Mfokane, a time of great upheaval. In the midst of this mayhem stands the figure of Shaka Zulu. He rose to power in 1816 and revamped the Zulu people's military into a formidable force, conquering neighboring tribes and strengthening his kingdom in a series of campaigns that devastated and severely depopulated the area. He was assassinated by his own half-brothers in 1828. Meanwhile, the Boers were growing dissatisfied with the British administration, which was making massive changes, not only abolishing slavery, but changing every facet of traditional Boer life. The upshot was the Great Trek, where thousands of Boers ventured deep into the interior of southern Africa to carve out self-governing republics for themselves. It was an undertaking beset with hardship, peril, and massacres by the Zulu. Even so, the Boers conquered sizable swathes of land. The 1860s saw the mineral revolution, where mining boomed after gold and diamonds were discovered, and as a result of this, more land was sought by the British. So they stomped out to get some. The Anglo-Zulu War followed. Britain's initial invasion was repulsed after a Zulu army with 10 times as many troops defeated them. So the British returned with a larger force and crushed the Zulu and took the land. But historically, land is a lot like gold. The more you get, the more you want. Britain wanted more. Remember how the Boers had moved far away to avoid the British? Well, they weren't far away enough anymore. Britain had been gobbling up more and more ground and hungrily eyed the Boer republics, and the tension simmered hotter into a boil, and it was war. The first Boer War's outcome embarrassed the British, who were completely outclassed and thrashed by the Boers. And then, a few years later, the biggest gold field in the world was discovered in the Boer Transvaal state. Masses of people, including many British, began flocking there to dig up riches. Thus was born, very rapidly, the city of Johannesburg. Then the tensions recurred. The many thousands of British workers there were paying taxes, but were not allowed to vote. The president and the Boer population did not want them to have a vote, because they had a hunch the British would vote in Britishness, and thus deprive the Boers of power. The two sides decided to settle their differences in an ostrich race. No, of course not. It was war again. The Second Boer War saw the British, this time, summon troops from around its empire, and while the Boers fought hard and well, Britain's Lord Kitchener and his mustache cooked up a ruthless scorched earth policy to crush them, burning farms and tossing Boer women and children into concentration camps, in which many thousands died. After the relentless British push, the Boers finally surrendered and the war was over. In 1910 we observed the Union of South Africa, the joining of the southern African colonies under British rule. In 1913's Native Land Act, native Africans were restricted from acquiring lands outside of designated reserves. After the price of gold declined, black miners were favoured by employers as their wages were smaller, causing white miners to strike, causing Prime Minister Jan Smuts to smash the strikers with thousands of troops and aircraft attacks. In 1934, South Africa gained independence from the United Kingdom, and in 1948 introduced apartheid. What did that mean? The government bundled the population into 4 categories: white, black, coloured and Indian, and enforced a system of segregation to keep the groups separated. Needless to say, the non-white groups were unhappy about the limitations placed upon them in everyday life and employment. In 1951, the African National Congress, or ANC, launched its defiance campaign, protesting the apartheid system. Let's have a quick look at some clips of life in 1950s South Africa.
This is also a land of over 12 million people. About 3 million of these are white people of European origin, but more than 9 million are people of dark-skinned races. And the story of South Africa is largely their story. As is the custom, in the early morning, Ngana and his sons will take care of the cattle, the most valued possession of a native family and the measure of its wealth. Outside her hut, Ngana's wife and her children are breakfasting on corn porridge called mealies. The family's possessions are meager but highly prized. Young men seeking a start in life leave the reserves for a few months or years to work under contract in other parts of South Africa. The native farm families have been provided with many features of European life, and their standard of living is much higher than in the native reserves. In many ways, however, the natives are restricted. None can leave the farm without a pass from his employer, but still no one is bound to the land. If a family dislikes life on one farm, it may move on to another. Mining of gold, diamonds, and other minerals is the basis for prosperity in South Africa. It makes city life very different from that on the reserves and farms. Management and technical supervision of the mines is by Europeans. But the labor is performed by natives who've contracted to work for the mining company. Many of these natives have come directly from the reserves. According to law, no native can leave company property without permission. Europeans of South Africa live in much the same way as people do in modern communities everywhere. A vigorous community spirit is reflected in the fine schools, the many beautiful churches, handsome apartment buildings, and the attractive stores well stocked with the latest type of goods. The Union has a representative form of government, though white citizens enjoy far greater representation than do the dark-skinned people. It is a land where light and dark-skinned races work side by side to build a secure and prosperous way of life. South Africa is one of our good neighbors in the world family of nations.
In 1966, the United Nations declared apartheid to be a crime against humanity, and in 1974, South Africa's UN membership was suspended. The country was also banned from competing at the Olympics. Even so, South Africa's economy thrived. A South African doctor performed the world's first heart transplant, but resistance to apartheid had been growing stronger after the Sharpeville massacre, in which 69 black protesters were killed by police. This was the event that spurred ANC member Nelson Mandela to, reluctantly, choose violence as the means to tackle the government. He was soon arrested and imprisoned on Robben Island. There was also anger about the border war, in which South African-administered Namibia sought independence, and the rage skyrocketed after the Soweto uprising, in which thousands of protesting black school students were fired on by police, who killed 176, though some say more. South Africa became more and more internationally isolated, and began hurting from sanctions and lack of foreign investment. Finally, F.W. de Klerk came to power in 1989, and made it his mission to dismantle apartheid. He freed Nelson Mandela after 27 years in prison, who was elected president in 1994 in the country's first election in which people of all ethnicities could vote. Mandela made de Klerk deputy president and commissioned the activist bishop Desmond Tutu to head the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to listen to, adjudicate and grant amnesty towards those entangled in the troubles of the apartheid era. Yet the post-apartheid era was also fraught with troubles: the HIV epidemic, massive unemployment and soaring crime, including one of the world's highest homicide rates, and politicians gleefully singing "Kill the Boer." Tutu's vision of a rainbow nation of harmony and unity is evidently unrealized. But despite all this, South Africa retains a high level of human development, with the third largest and most technologically advanced economy in Africa, a complex, fascinating nation of tremendous natural beauty that has given the world extraordinary accomplishments in multiple fields, ranging from literature to sport to science. But what awaits South Africa in the years ahead? Comment below, but for now, bye-bye!
Well, that was a long history lesson there. Any thoughts about what you saw? Any thoughts, folks? That was a long one.
It was 1950s was funny, Lou. I love looking at that kind of propaganda. That was funny to me.
Who's that narrator, right? So it's always that same guy's voice.
But he was a 1950 film, so it fit the mold. It did. But it was just funny to me. It was humorous, quite humorous.
Yeah, and folks believed it back then.
Yeah, they did.
Pure propaganda. Whoever that narrator was, right? Remember that guy's voice? He was on all those propaganda films all over the place. Same voice.
Yeah. But my people tell me that Cape Town is beautiful. Those who I've not been there myself, but I have friends and kids who have gone, and they all say it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Anyone would want to stay there.
Yeah, I heard the same thing myself. Same thing. Any other thoughts about South Africa before I get into the? So I got a long version and a short version of best places to visit in South Africa. I'm not sure which one to go with. Let me go with I'm going to go with a different one. Let's go with the long version, and I might skip through a little bit. So here we go for 1 sec. Hold on. I'm going to open this now with the VLC video player because that works better. And let me just share screens now, just a moment. All right. And here we go. These are places to see in South Africa today. Oh, la, 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 la.
What's up, guys? We're here in South Africa, and in this video, we're going to show you our top places to visit in the country. So hope you enjoy it. South Africa is a beautiful country where you can find world-class beaches, idyllic vineyards, majestic mountains, and savanna teeming with wildlife. But its magic goes far beyond the landscapes. South Africa's cultural tapestry is woven with history, vibrant cities, and a warmth that makes you feel instantly welcome. We spent over 2 months exploring this diverse country, and in this video, we're sharing our top 15 places to visit. At the end of the video, we'll also share our top travel tips. Now let's dive in. We are Zach and Ina. We make helpful videos about destinations around the world so you can easily plan your own adventures. Nestled in the foothills of the Maluti Mountains in South Africa's Free State province, Golden Gate Highlands National Park offers dramatic natural scenery. The most impressive views come when the sandstone cliffs bathe in the golden hues of sunrise and sunset. It's a beautiful drive through the park. Located about 200 kilometers or 124 miles north of Cape Town, the Cedarburg Wilderness Area is a nature paradise. Boasting a landscape sculpted by time, this park is home to amazing rock formations, like the Wolfberg Arch and Maltese Cross. You can explore these by hiking a network of trails. The Cedarburg also boasts an abundance of wildlife, as well as hundreds of sand rock paintings, offering a glimpse into the lives of indigenous people. Just north of Durban, along South Africa's Dolphin Coast, lies the charming seaside town of Ballito. Unlike the bustling energy of Durban, Ballito offers a laid-back atmosphere, perfect for families as well as travelers just looking to relax. Unwind on golden beaches or hit the waves for some surfing. There are also many tidal pools along this stretch of coastline, which are perfect for swimming. If you're looking for a peaceful thing to do here in Ballito, definitely recommend going on the boardwalk. There's lots of different beaches you can stop at, and it's really nice in the evening especially. Situated about 280 kilometers or 173 miles north of Durban, Shushui Mfolozi Park is the oldest proclaimed nature reserve in Africa. Here, you'll find a diverse landscape of rolling hills and savanna grasslands. This area is a haven for wildlife enthusiasts, offering the chance to witness the Big Five in their natural habitat on a guided or self-drive game safari. The park is renowned for its rhino conservation efforts, making it a crucial stop for those who are passionate about animal welfare. We visited this park as a guided day tour from St. Lucia, which also included breakfast and lunch among the wildlife. We included a link to the tour that we did in the description below the video. Winding along the southwestern coast of South Africa, the Cape Whale Route is a stunning scenic drive that stretches from Cape Town to Cape Agulhas. Crossing through villages, rivers, bays, and valleys, this route offers a lot of different scenery. Explore the charming seaside village of Betty's Bay, where you can see the endangered African penguin colony waddling across the shores of Stony Point. You can also visit Hermanus, which is considered the heart of the route. This town boasts stunning cliffside walks with some of the best whale watching opportunities in the world. Complete this section of your journey in Cape Agulhas, the southernmost tip of Africa, where the Indian and Atlantic Oceans meet. Addo Elephant National Park is located near Port Elizabeth, on the Eastern Cape. It's a sanctuary for the country's magnificent elephant population. Once on the brink of extinction, the park's success story is a testament to conservation efforts. Today, the elephant population thrives, offering visitors the chance to witness these gentle giants up close on guided game drives or self-drive safaris. But Addo is more than just elephants. You might be lucky enough to encounter lions, buffaloes, zebras, and a variety of antelope species. Jutting out dramatically at the southwestern tip of Africa, the Cape Peninsula is another highlight of the country. The vibrant city of Cape Town forms the peninsula's northern base. From there, scenic drives take you along coastlines with pristine beaches and charming seaside villages. Explore the penguin colony at Boulders Beach, where these cute animals waddle around freely. Then, drive to Cape Point for a glimpse of the tall cliffs, or check out the colorful beach huts at Muizenberg Beach, one of the most photogenic spots in South Africa. Panorama Route is a scenic drive located in the northeast of South Africa. The route stretches over 100 kilometers or 62 miles from the foot of Longtom Pass to the Echo Caves and gets its name from the panoramic views of deep valleys, cascading waterfalls, and natural rock formations. The most popular site is definitely the Bleda River Canyon, which boasts amazing green, blue, and brown colors. Other highlights include God's Window, Borksluk Potholes, the Lisbon Falls, and the Three Rondavels, which resemble 3 traditional African-style houses. Watch our full video about the highlights along the Panorama Route to learn more about it. Nicknamed for its lush vegetation, the Garden Route is a breathtaking area stretching over 300 kilometers or 186 miles along South Africa's southern coast. Winding its way from Mossel Bay in the Western Cape to Storms River in the Eastern Cape, this scenic route has charming towns, lush forests, dramatic cliffs, sandy beaches, and diverse wildlife. Hiking enthusiasts can explore numerous trails in Tsitsikamma National Park, the Robberg Nature Reserve, and the Wilderness Area. Sea lovers can take a boat tour in the Knysna Lagoon, swim with seals in Plettenberg Bay, or drive a boat on the Kurboms River. For the adrenaline junkies, bungee jumping off Blaukerns Bridge is a must-do. Spanning the border between the country of Lesotho and South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province, Maluti Drakensberg is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Home to the vast Drakensberg mountain range, this park can be divided into different sections: the northern, central, and southern Drakensberg. Each region offers different hiking trails and unique activities.
One of the good things here along the trails in Drakensberg is that there's a lot of streams and little waterfalls where you can refill your bottle because the water is drinkable.
One of our favorite adventures in southern Drakensberg was a guided 4x4 tour of Sani Pass from Underberg. This challenging road connects South Africa to Lesotho and includes a border crossing. On the top of the pass, we took in breathtaking views, had lunch at Africa's highest pub, and visited a Basotho village. We have another video on our channel all about Drakensberg, where we explain each section as well as highlights. Hugging South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal coast, Isamangaliso Wetland Park is a sprawling paradise for all different types of animals. Here, you can cruise the estuary while spotting hippos, crocodiles, and a variety of birds, or drive to the beautiful beach of Cape Vidal while seeing animals from the road. The town of St. Lucia, which sits at the edge of the park, is an excellent place to base yourself from. You can find a variety of accommodation options and restaurants here, and during the night, hippos often come through town to graze, which is a unique sight to say the least. Located just outside of Cape Town and tucked between tall mountains, the Cape Winelands beckons wine lovers and nature enthusiasts alike. This region boasts a rich history of winemaking dating back centuries. Explore charming towns like Parel, Stellenbosch, and Franschhoek, known for their award-winning wineries. Indulge in vineyard tours, hop on the Franschhoek wine tram, savor delicious pairings of food and wine, or simply relax in taking the scenic landscapes. Beyond the vineyards, you can also find many different hiking trails. Located in the northern Drakensberg area, Royal Natal National Park boasts some of South Africa's most striking scenery. Witness the awe-inspiring amphitheater, a colossal cliff face which is best experienced on the challenging chain ladders hike. From the top, you can see the Tugela Falls, one of the world's largest waterfalls, plunging 948 meters or 3,110 feet. And while we were there when the waterfall was dry, the views were still definitely worth it. If you're looking for a more relaxing hike in the area, there are numerous other trails down in the valley. One that we can highly recommend is Tugela Gorge Trail, which is well maintained and has relatively minimal elevation gain compared to other hikes in Drakensberg. Cape Town sits at the southwestern tip of the country, where Table Mountain's flat peak dominates the landscape. This lively city is a must-visit for its natural beauty and multicultural flair. One thing you can't miss is ascending Table Mountain on foot or by cable car for panoramic views of the city. We also recommend exploring the Robben Island Museum where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned, diving into Cape Malay history in the Bo-Kaap neighborhood, hiking up Lion's Head, walking through Kirstenbosch National Botanical Garden, or relaxing on pristine beaches like Camps Bay. Cape Town caters to all interests, offering a unique blend of history, culture, and outdoor adventure. Kruger National Park is located in the northeastern part of the country and is Africa's crown jewel for wildlife safaris. Encompassing over 19,000 square kilometers, or 7,520 square miles, it boasts the continent's greatest density of animals. Embark on an unforgettable game drive to spot the Big Five, whether it's on a guided or self-drive safari. The park's varied landscapes include savanna plains and lush forests, making for amazing game viewing opportunities. Stay overnight in camps or lodges, listening to the sounds of the African bush at night. You can watch our full Kruger National Park video to learn more about how to do a self-drive safari here.
Well, that was a long video. I had my popcorn with me. Felt like I was in the movie theater. What'd you all think?
Well, you know what was amazing? That the hippopotamus walking past cars. I mean, I would be terrified to see that. A hippo grazing. Oh, yeah.
I thought those animals would attack the vehicle going around these corners. Oh, Lord. And they're huge. They are huge.
I'm going to tell you the truth. Ain't no way I'm going to be doing all that hiking around there, too.
No, I couldn't.
No.
Yeah, I don't like animals. I don't like animals like that.
They're too big.
Cable car. One area had a cable car.
Lou, were you ever that adventurous to bungee jump?
No, I never did that.
Can you imagine?
What? I'm surprised.
No, I don't like that kind of stuff. I would never parachute. I would never bungee jump.
You know, another thing that was terrifying too, that ladder going up the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
They weren't even buckled in they weren't even buckled in anything.
No. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't do that in a million years.
No, not at all.
They got a lot of courage because I know I wouldn't be doing none of that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You might have to grow up over there.
Be doing none of that.
My goodness.
Yeah, those guys, they were younger people, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure folks our age, we couldn't do that. I know I wouldn't do it.
Well, folks, let me jump into another video about a little bit about some of the social history with apartheid and all this other stuff. We got a few more minutes, and before we do trivia, and no story about South Africa is complete without that, unfortunately. So let me just do that. Hold on. So hopefully you can all see this.
This strip in Cape Town, South Africa, divides the beachfront community of Strand from the township of Nomzamo. They're only a few meters apart, but the people on each side live very different lives. Strand has backyards and driveways. Nomzamo is much more dense, and the people here have fewer basic services. Less piped water, less internet access, and Nomzamo is majority black, while the area across the line is majority white. If we use dots on a map to represent race, you can see how stark that divide is. If we zoom out to the whole city, we can see it's actually everywhere. And this is the case across much of South Africa. The color of your skin here often determines where you live. It also determines your quality of life. This map shows where jobs and opportunities are primarily concentrated in Cape Town. And this is where most of the city's black people live, in informal settlements called townships on the city's periphery.
People have to move by public transport for up to 3 hours a day, and they can't take care of their obligations in the community with the rest of the family because they're always working and they're always traveling.
For decades, South Africa was under apartheid, a system that wrote segregation into law. A white minority controlled where non-white people could live, work, exist. Many were forced out of their homes. In 1994, a democratically elected government took power and ended apartheid. It was supposed to be a new beginning. But a lot of the country still looks like this. And that's because South Africa's legacy of racial division goes back centuries. In the 1600s, the Dutch took over the southern tip of Africa to supply ships with food along the trade route to Asia. 150 years later, Britain seized it and named it Cape Colony. Many Dutch colonists moved here, further inland, to escape British rule and continue exploiting enslaved people. Just like the Dutch, the British used Cape Colony as a strategic location for trade. It wasn't economically significant. But in the 1870s, that changed when the British started mining diamonds there. Suddenly, Cape Colony was one of Britain's most prized and exploited colonies. In order to get the diamonds out of the country, they built railways to connect the mines up here to the coast. The railways allowed the British to access a global diamond market through the port city of Cape Town. Soon, the economy of Cape Colony was centered around the railroads, especially this main route. The green areas on this map show the black regions of Cape Colony, largely left out of the railroad economy. Racial inequality in Cape Colony was being reinforced by location. To keep it that way, the colonial government started writing segregation into law. The Native Lands Act of 1913 pushed black people into these areas, only 8% of South Africa's land, and restricted them from owning land everywhere else, or relocated them to the edges of the major cities to work for white people. These laws began to shape the region. Cape Town's growth from the increased trade turned the port town into a major city. Many migrants from the rest of the colony and elsewhere moved here, to what was then the outskirts of Cape Town, where former enslaved people, merchants, artists, and immigrants were forming a neighborhood called District 6. As the city grew around District 6, so did the neighborhood. For decades, District 6 was a thriving, integrated community.
We were a very cosmopolitan, you could say family almost, because there were people from all different nationalities, from all different walks of life.
This was the statement, your child is my child.
But it wouldn't last. In 1934, Britain's legal hold in what was now the Union of South Africa officially ended. The remaining white minority, the descendants of Dutch colonists, took control, and they built on the foundation the British were leaving behind. Between 1949 and 1971, the all-white government passed 148 laws solidifying apartheid.
Apartheid allowed for the full realization of the ambition of the fascist project in South Africa.
In 1950, the Population Registration Act officially classified people by race: white, colored, and native or black, and eventually Asian. Then they made laws saying where people could live. Around the country, Black South Africans were moved into these areas, called homelands or Bantustans. Bantustans were rural areas and had underdeveloped economies. Many of them were in the areas Britain had already excluded from the railway economy, and where black land ownership had been restricted to. Black people were forced to carry passbooks that specified where they were allowed to work or travel to. In cities like Cape Town, the Group Areas Act moved the remaining non-whites into separate urban areas.
The most prime land and the land closest to high-valued property was allocated to white people.
In 1966, the government declared that District 6 was now a whites-only area. The residents of District 6 received removal letters like this one that said living there was illegal because they were not white. Bulldozers drove into District 6 and razed it to the ground.
We lived here. We had a life here.
It was very traumatic for a lot of people.
It's like ripping out someone's heart.
More than 60,000 people were forcibly removed from their homes. This kind of violence against non-white people was commonplace around the country. But after decades of pressure, both from within South Africa and abroad, apartheid rule finally came to an end. The new government lifted restrictions on where people could live. Millions of people who had been excluded from economic development for centuries migrated to major cities looking for basic services and economic opportunity.
For any family with no prospect of employment, the most rational, logical choice to make is to migrate to an urban center.
They settled where there was empty land, creating townships on the peripheries of major cities, like Cape Town. The government built millions of homes and expanded clean water and electricity.
But it had a number of unforeseen consequences, the most important of which is that the only land that could be used for the public housing program was on the periphery of the city. And for that reason, a brilliant intention to overcome the apartheid legacy unintentionally reproduced the very same legacy it was trying to undo.
Today, 60% of the mostly black population of Cape Town lives in these townships at the edge of the city. The thing is, Cape Town city center has land to develop, but because of its location, it's valuable. So it usually gets sold to private developers who build luxury apartments. Nearly $1 billion worth of them are going up by the coast. But right in the heart of Cape Town, by all the expensive developments, District 6 remains largely untouched. The former residents have fought against private development, and they've actually succeeded. Some have even managed to return to houses built by the city.
I wanted to come back here where I was born, which was part of our whole family's heritage.
I couldn't believe that I was back. It was a sense of relief.
But there are still hundreds of claimants waiting to get back to District 6.
We haven't done the difficult and the painful work to confront what the intergenerational consequences are of colonialism, of apartheid.
The story of Cape Town and South Africa's racial segregation starts far in the past, but it's very much entangled with the present. Apartheid and colonialism here are over, but many of the barriers they built have yet to be dismantled.
The kind of psychic scars that's left on individuals and on communities, we haven't begun the work of saying, how do we live together, right, in the face of that history?
Good one there, Lou. Good film.
Lou, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Any thoughts about what you just saw? I think that story about South Africa is certainly not complete without hearing that story.
The beginning about the separation of the races, that was just insane.
Still exists though today.
They have to show a passport in their own country so that they can know where they can work.
Yeah. Sadly, I saw some parallels with our own country, with different races occupying different areas and unhealed wounds from the past. That's not unique to them.
Lou, are you familiar with the Lemba tribe? Lemba.
No.
South Africa.
No.
I won't go too much into it, but something you might just want to check out sometime, given what you share with us about your own heritage. I know you're not a practicing Jew, but the Lemba tribe is Semitic, but they're down in South Africa, right?
Oh my God.
Yes. And so if you look at their history and their lineage, and even today, just in recent history, recent times, scholars are trying to determine how did these Semitic folk who have practiced Halakhic type traditions, and some of them even did what I think is called Aliyah, going back to the diaspora, so to speak, of Palestine or Israel, leaving from South Africa to go back to that part of the world. But it's a very interesting history about the Lemba tribe. You might want to check that out someday.
Yeah, how do you spell it?
Lemba.
Lemba, interesting. I know I heard about that in Ethiopia, and I thought they looked for the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia, but I hadn't heard about that tribe. That's interesting.
Yeah, man, they're down there doing all the Jewish traditions.
That's amazing.
So-called Middle East. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But thousands of years. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, guys, let me. I gotta have to shift over to trivia because I don't want to run too long. So
yeah, I'm here to assist Lou. So while Lou gets the trivia up, let's all practice raising our hands. If you would like to answer one of Lou's questions, you must raise your hand to be called on. So again, you tap more at the top right and then raise hand while Lou gets his trivia up. Please raise your hands in Zoom to practice that feature. Again, if you'd like to answer one of Lou's questions and potentially win a prize today, again, an iPad accessory, you must raise your hand. We'll take the first hand up and see who can get the answer correct. Okay, and then you'll be put into a pool of all the correct answerers, and we'll see who wins a prize today. So again, we only have 3 hands up so far. Again, let's make sure to raise our hands if you'd like to participate and answer one of Lou's questions. So again, everyone that's on Zoom, you could potentially win a prize today by just answering a trivia question. So we have 5 hands up so far. Again, everyone else, please raise your hand if you'd like to answer one of Lou's questions. So thank you. We have 7 hands up. You all can lower your hands. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to learning more about this trivia, Lou. Thanks so much as always.
Oh, my pleasure. All right. Well, I didn't get as many cool questions as last time, but just bear with me. So here we go. There's some penguins, by the way, in South Africa, which I thought was pretty cool. That's one of the beaches we saw in the pictures, by the way, that picture. All right. They actually said this in the video. On what island was Nelson Mandela imprisoned for 18 years? You're gonna have to polish up your Google.
Ooh, okay, that was real fast. Geraldine, what is your answer?
Robben Island.
Whoa, very good.
Geraldine, thank you so much. You may win a prize today. Thank you so much.
There's a big prison on Robben Island. And he only spent part of his time there. He was in prison for a lot longer than 18 years. All right, next question. Here we go. Often falsely considered to be the southern tip of Africa, what South African cape is known for being difficult to pass? Is where the Flying Dutchman is said to be forever trying to navigate through. So if you ever saw the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Flying Dutchman, that mythical seafaring person, that's where his legend was born. What famous cape is that? You all know this. You all learned it in elementary school or middle school.
Any takers, please raise your hand.
You all know this one. What are the big capes in the world? Cape Horn, that's the southern tip of South America. What are the big capes of the world?
Oh, Brenda, what is your answer? You have to unmute yourself, Brenda.
Is it Cape Agulhas? Agulas?
Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. I thought you had it. It was awful close. I thought you had it.
Thank you, Brenda. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Mr. Harold, what do you say?
I'm going to say the Cape of Good Hope.
There you go. Very good.
Mr. Harold.
Good job, Mr. Harold. This is, yeah, remember that in school, all the big capes of the world? What are the other big ones? I used to live in Seattle. We had Cape Flattery at the end of Olympic Peninsula. That was a rough cape. All right, here we go. Next question. Describing his 27 years in prison, so more than 18, before becoming president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela's autobiography is called The Long Walk to what?
These are some great questions, Lou, as always. Thanks so much.
Well, I thought these were a little weak this time. I didn't have any Muhammad Ali questions to ask.
Gracie, what do you say? That was pretty fast.
Freedom.
Yay! Good job.
I just thought it was going to be that. So good job, Gracie. We great minds think alike.
Good job.
Good job, Gracie. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We have 3 potential winners so far.
Y'all clean it up. Okay. South Africa has not just 1, but 3 capitals. This is definitely a Google question. Name all 3. It's got 3 capitals. This whip out. You better whip out your Google now.
Thank you, Mr. Harold. Keep your hand up, and we'll see if it stumps everyone else. But thank you. If you've answered one before, you can still raise your hand, and we'll see if there are any new folks. Like, again, Brenda, thanks so much for trying again. What is your answer? Again, you must have all 3.
Okay. Cape Town, Pretoria, and Bloemfontein, Bloemfontein.
I think so. I forgot myself. Here we go. I think you got it. Yeah, you did get it.
Brenda.
Can't pronounce
that. Good job. Nice job.
Brenda, good job. And you're also in the running for a prize today.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting down to the end. Here we go. What is this animal?
I love these picture ones. They really make you think. Any takers? What is that animal?
I forgot myself again. Oh no. Hopefully someone gets it.
Any takers?
I'll give you a clue in 5 seconds. Oh, Harold's got his hand up.
Again,
I'll
thank you,
hold off on
Mr.
the
Harold.
clue.
Make sure you keep your hand up in case we don't get anybody else.
Since Harold raised his hand, I'm going to hold off on the clue. Unless he gets it wrong.
Again, any other takers? Any persons that have not correctly answered a question yet, please raise your hand. It's definitely a Google question, so.
Can you take a picture of an animal? Is there an app that does that? For
probably.
Plants, you can do that.
Yeah, probably, but not that we're aware of right now. Mr. Sanders, thanks so much for hopping on a Travel Friday. What is your answer?
Antelope.
Oh, it probably is a type of antelope, but that's not the answer I was looking for.
Specific name, but thank you so much for trying, Mrs. Sanders.
That was a good guess.
Thank you. Miss Rosemary, what is your answer?
Parnassus. No.
Who?
Oh, sorry.
No, that could be it. That could be it.
I don't.
Parnassus?
I see the answer. I don't think it's that, Lou.
That's not it either. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary.
What am I looking at then? Okay.
Again, I would just literally, it's one Google search and I see it right here come up. So again, don't forget.
You see it? You know the answer? Because I don't know the answer, Alex.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. Harold, what do you think the answer is? Just for fun.
Fun, it ain't a Ford. It might be a Chevrolet Impala. But it's in the antelope family. That should have been an Impala. That looks like an Impala to me.
Again, that's not what I see.
That's not what I remember either.
It starts with an S, right, Lou?
S.
I don't even remember that. Here's the clue. Here's the clue. It's the national animal of South Africa. That's your clue.
Okay.
The national animal of South Africa.
Cassandra, what is your answer?
It's called the springbok.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Good job.
Good job. Thank you, Cassandra. You got it. I know that's right. If you just search South African animal, that's one of the first results that come up. So good job, Cassandra. Thank you so much.
Nice job. I even forgot that one. All right. I think that's either the last one or second to last. Oh, there's one. This is absolutely the last one. Name any 3 of the national languages of South Africa. South Africa actually has 11 national languages. Just name 3 of them. I need to take a picture of this one because I don't know this one either. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can, because this is the last one, so that I can look at the answer without you seeing it.
Again, name 3 of the national languages of South Africa. Miss Rosemary again, let's see.
Okay, how about Zulu?
Yeah.
Afrikaans and English?
Oh, I think you got it. Afrikaans and English. Very good. Good job.
Miss Rosemary, good job.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You miss Xhosa, Swati, Sesotho, Kitsonga, Sepedi, Ndebele, Sawanza, Tafida. Hey guys, this Afrikaans, you guys, I can't leave this. This is a striking language. When I was in Kenya and then I went to South Africa later, you meet these Afrikaners, and Afrikaners are the descendants of the Boers. They're the descendants of the Dutch. And I'm gonna cue something up here. And I want to play the Afrikaner language. It is like the most harsh, kind of like someone talks Afrikaner, it makes your skin crawl because it's just a very harsh language. So here it is. Let's see if you can hear it. Okay, well, I'm trying to do this. See, learn to speak Afrikaner. Boy, this is I should have had this set up, but I didn't. Shoot. Afrikaner's language spoken. Shoot. Okay, I don't have it. If anybody wants to pull it up.
Hey Lou, it's already 1:05, so we got to make sure.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, yeah, go ahead and spin your wheel.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Again, thank you all so much for coming on to our session today. As we always do for our trivia, our correct answerers will be put in a wheel, and one of you all will win an iPad accessory today. So we have Miss Geraldine, Mr. Harold, Miss Gracie, Miss Brenda, Miss Cassandra, and Miss Rosemary for correctly answering one of the questions that Lou had asked. Thank you so much for coming on, and let's see who wins an iPad accessory today. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see who wins this week's trivia. And it was a close one. Good job, Geraldine. Thank you so much for coming on and for correctly answering a question. Thank you so much.
Okay, I won.
Yes, you want a stylus pen, Geraldine. So
okay, I need a stylus pen.
Thank you so much, Geraldine, for coming on. I hope you enjoy your prize.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, thank you all so much for attending our session on South Africa. Next week, Lou, we just got an email. We'll be having a special guest come on next Friday's session. So please check out the daily email next week for more of that information. It'll be a surprise for Monday. So make sure you check out your daily email on Monday for our session next Friday. It's going to be very, very special.
Does everybody know who that is, or you want to keep it a secret?
No, we don't. They don't know, so it will be a surprise. So,
all right.
Let's all thank Lou so much for presenting our videos and information on South Africa, and congratulations to Geraldine for winning a prize today. Great job, Geraldine, and thank you so much, Lou, for presenting our session.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Have a good week, everybody.
Look forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Right.
Have a great rest of your day.
You had me blocked out the whole time. I couldn't answer.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
I don't know what.